The girl in the corner. The alien market was loud and dirty. Ships flew above, traders shouted below, and strange smells filled the air. Creatures from 10 planets walked through the crowd, selling tools, food, and things not allowed on normal worlds. But Jake wasn't here to buy. He was here to fix his ship and leave fast. As he moved through the noise, something stopped him. He saw her, a small alien girl, sitting alone in the corner near a trash bin. Her clothes were torn. Her silver hair was messy. Her eyes were wide and scared. She didn't speak. She didn't beg. She just watched, quiet, still, forgotten. Jake frowned. He had seen this before. A lost one, a child. No one wanted. He looked around. No adult nearby, no name tag, no ID chip. Others passed by and ignored her. One big trader even laughed and kicked dust in her direction. The girl didn't move, but when a tall lizard creature leaned down to grab her arm, Jake stepped in. His hand moved fast. Whack! The lizard fell back with a cry. "Back off," Jake said coldly. The creature hissed. "She's no one. Trash left behind." "Then she's mine now," Jake said. The girl stared at him. He reached down slowly, not smiling, not speaking too soft. "Just come on," he said. She hesitated, then stood and took his hand. They walked out of the market. No one followed, but Jake felt eyes watching. He didn't care. He led her to his shelter, an old cargo unit turned into a living space. Simple. Safe. Inside, he gave her a warm blanket and a water bottle. She sat on the edge of a crate, holding the cup with both hands. She drank slowly, then looked at him. "Why did you help me?" she asked in a quiet voice. Jake shrugged. "You looked like you needed it. I didn't ask. You didn't have to." She stared at the floor, then whispered. Others walked by. No one looked. "I did." "Why?" Jake leaned against the wall. "Maybe I was tired of looking away." He gave her a plate of food, warm, bread and dried fruit. She ate without speaking, slow at first, then faster. He didn't ask questions. Not yet. But when she finished, she looked up. "What's your name?" she asked. "Jake." "Mine is Lenari." He nodded. "Nice to meet you." She lowered her head. "No one said that to me before." Later that night, Lenari lay on a blanket beside the heater. Jake sat nearby, fixing a broken panel from his ship. He worked with quiet hands. Lenari spoke again. "They left me." Jake stopped. "Who?" "The ones who brought me here," she said. "Traitors. They said I didn't follow orders, so they left me." Jake's jaw clenched. "How long were you alone?" 4 days. He looked at her. "How did you eat?" "I didn't." His hands tightened around the tool. She watched him closely now. "Are you going to leave too?" she asked. Jake met her eyes. "No." "Why not?" "Because you're not trash." "They said I was." "They were wrong." She curled up under the blanket, but before she slept, she whispered, "You hit that lizard for me." "Yeah? That hurt your hand?" "A little." "You did it anyway?" "Yeah." She closed her eyes. "You're strange." Jake smiled slightly. "You're not the first to say that." Outside, the market lights flickered. A bounty screen blinked to life. Missing, subject Lenari, asset marked unstable, reward, active, and somewhere deep in the city, someone saw the alert and began to move. Not your problem. The next morning, Jake woke to the sound of quiet humming. He opened one eye. Lenari sat on the floor, wrapping wires around one of his old tools. Her small hands moved carefully. Not fast, but not clumsy either. She looked up when she saw him. "I didn't break it," she said quickly. Jake sat up. "You fixed it." She nodded. It looked sad. He raised an eyebrow. "Machines don't get sad." Lenari blinked. "Then why did it stop working?" Jake had no answer. He stood and stretched. "You hungry?" always. He gave her warm food again. This time she smiled before eating. It was a small smile, but real. After breakfast, Jake opened a crate filled with scrap parts. Lenari followed him, staying close like a shadow. "You don't have to follow me everywhere," he said. "I know." "Then why do you?" She didn't answer right away, then said, "Because I'm scared when I'm not near you." Jake looked down at her. She wasn't crying, she was just being honest. He knelt beside her. "You're safe here. No one's going to hurt you." "For how long?" she asked. He sighed. "As long as I can make it true." She touched his jacket. "You say things like they matter." He nodded. "They do." Later that day, Jake went into the market to find a replacement part for his engine. He left Lenari inside the cargo shelter, locked and hidden. She didn't argue, but she didn't like it either. In the market, Jake moved fast. He didn't notice the eyes watching him, but someone did. A bounty tracker. Scanning faces, checking data. He paused when he saw Jake's profile flash across the scanner. Unknown human, recent ship logs, one extra life sign, not on record. He followed. Back at the shelter, Lenari found an old photo, a small one, tucked behind a panel. It showed Jake much younger standing beside a human girl with bright eyes and a laughing smile. Lenari stared at it for a long time. When Jake returned, he found her holding it. "Who's she?" Lenari asked. Jake froze, then sat down beside her. "My daughter," he said. "Where is she now?" He looked away. "Gone." "How?" "Because I wasn't there when she needed me." Lenari held the photo carefully. "Do I remind you of her?" Jake looked at her. "No," he said. Her face dropped. "You remind me of you." Outside, footsteps moved through the dust. The bounty hunter was near. He tapped his scanner again. The screen showed one word. Target confirmed. Inside, Jake checked his compad. He froze when he saw the alert. Lenari, unstable asset, bounty active. He felt the heat in his chest. Anger. Guilt. Something else. He looked at the girl sitting on the floor, now drawing shapes with chalk on a crate lid. She looked up. "Are you okay?" she asked. "You're not a bounty," he said. "I'm not?" she asked. "You're a kid," he said. "A scared, smart, brave kid, and they don't get to put a price on that." He turned off the alert and locked the doors. Then he knelt beside her. "If someone comes," he said, "you hide under the panel. Don't open the door unless it's me." She stared at him. "You're not leaving, right?" "Not unless I have to fight." She reached out, touched his hand. "You always fight alone?" "Usually," she nodded. "Then this time, don't." The bounty notice. The wind was heavy that night. Dust slid across the cargo shelter roof like soft claws, scratching metal. Jake sat near the small heater staring at the bounty alert glowing on his screen. Lenari, classified as unstable. Retrieve for reward. Dead or alive. He read it 3 times. His jaw tightened. Lenari was asleep in the corner, curled under a blanket. Her small form barely moved. She looked peaceful. But Jake knew the peace wouldn't last. He pulled out a second device. An old comm scanner tapped into the local channels. Sure enough, bounty chatter was rising. Target is on this planet. Half-human guardian spotted near Zone 4. Easy credits. Girl's just a broken asset. Jake shut it off. His hand shook. Morning came fast. Jake didn't sleep. When Lenari opened her eyes, he was already packing a bag. "Where are we going?" she asked, rubbing her eyes. "Somewhere safe." "They found me, didn't they?" He nodded slowly. "Yeah." She sat up and pulled her knees to her chest. "I can go," she said. "I've done it before." "No," Jake replied. "You're not running alone." "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "I know," he said, "but I will." They left the shelter through the side tunnel. Jake took her hand as they walked. Lenari looked up at him. "I'm not worth this trouble." He stopped, knelt in front of her. Don't ever say that. But, listen, he said, eyes locked with hers. You didn't ask to be made. You didn't ask to be used. They're scared of you because they don't understand you. But, I do. You're not a thing, you're a person, and you matter. Her voice cracked. What if I break things again? Then we fix them. Together. They moved through the lower levels of the city. Dark alleys, half-broken stairs, abandoned trader booths. The bounty boards were everywhere now. Linari's picture blinked on glowing panels. One screen showed a reward double what Jake made in a year. Every face they passed looked longer than the last. Someone would recognize her soon. They ducked into a side door and found an old repair station. A kind alien named Theo, part metal, part plant, greeted Jake with a nod. You owe me, Jake said. I remember, Theo replied. Can you hide us? For a few hours. Inside the dark workshop, Linari sat beside a dusty, while her head leaned on her knees. They're going to take me, she said. No, Jake said. They always do. He sat beside her. Not this time. She looked at him. Why not? He took a deep breath. Because I lost someone once. My daughter. I couldn't save her. I didn't try hard enough. And I swore if I ever got another chance, I'd never fail again. Linari's voice was soft. Do you see me as her? No, he said. I see you as you. But this time I'm not walking away. Suddenly, Theo rushed in. Hunters. Outside. Jake stood fast. How many? 3, maybe more. Jake looked at Linari. We can run, she said quickly. He shook his head. We stand. But you said you always get taken. She nodded slowly. Not today, he said. Today. Someone fights back. Escape from the lower docks. The door shook from the first hit. Jake grabbed his toolkit bag and slung it over his shoulder. He turned to Theo. Back exit? Theo pointed to a hatch behind the old engine core. Leads to the lower docks. Forgotten, by most. Linari stood frozen. Her hands trembled. Come on, Jake said, holding out his hand. She didn't move. Linari now. She blinked fast. Her breath caught. But she reached for him and ran. They dropped into a tight tunnel, crawling. Through dust and old wires. Above them, metal boots hit the floor. Scan the building, one hunter said. The girl's still close, Jake whispered. Keep low. Don't speak. Linari nodded, holding her breath. They moved fast, sliding through narrow pipes and broken vents. But then, a noise behind them, a red light blinking, a drone. Go, Jake shouted, turning to block the path. He threw a smoke charge, blinding the drone for a moment. Linari screamed, No! She turned, her hand lifting on instinct. A wave of light burst from her palm. The drone sparked, then fell, silent, dead. They both stared. Jake stepped forward. Did you mean to do that? Linari looked down. I don't know. It just happened. He touched her shoulder gently. It helped. We keep going. They reached the lower docks, dark, cold, and almost empty. Broken ships rested under thick, rusted beams. It smelled like old fuel and silence. We hide there, Jake said, pointing to a collapsed ship hull. They crawled inside and waited. Linari clutched her knees. They always chase me, she whispered. Jake sat beside her. Because you scare them. Because I break things. No, he said. You light things up. They've never seen anything like you, so they want to control you. Or erase you. So I should hide forever? No. But right now, we survive. Outside boots echoed again. They were close. A voice called out, We only want the girl. The man can go free. Jake laughed under his breath. How kind. Linari touched his sleeve. You could go. I won't. But why? He looked at her. Because you're not just a mission, not just a name on a screen. You're someone who matters. Her eyes filled. Even if I'm dangerous? Even then, he said. Especially then. The hunters moved past for now. But Jake knew they'd be back. They needed a plan. He found a service ladder and climbed to a higher vent. It led to an old cargo lift. "We can use this," he said. "It connects to a trader tunnel. I used it years ago." Linari followed. Her steps were quiet, but inside her something stirred. Energy. Strange and alive. As they reached the top, a voice spoke in the air. "Target located." A hunter dropped from above. Gun raised. Jake pushed Linari back. But before the shot fired, Linari screamed. Not loud, but full of power. Everything around them stopped for half a second. Then light exploded. The hunter was thrown backward into the... While unconscious, Jake stared at Linari. She fell to her knees, breathing hard. I didn't mean to." He helped her up. "You didn't hurt him. You just stopped him. That's control." She looked into his eyes. "You're not afraid?" "No," he said. "I trust you." They escaped through the tunnel. Far behind, the hunters recovered. But the trail had gone cold. The girl with powers, and the human who wouldn't let go, were gone. Secrets in her blood. They hid in a quiet storage bay, deep under an abandoned loading zone. Jake set up a small lamp and spread out the last food packs. Linari sat against the wall, her eyes tired, her glow faint. She hadn't spoken much since they escaped. Jake handed her water. "You okay?" She nodded slowly. "Just heavy." He sat beside her. "From the running?" "From the truth." He waited. She looked down at her hands. "You should know," she said. "Why they want me back. What I really am." Jake didn't speak. He just listened. Linari's voice was soft. "I wasn't born like normal children. I was made." Jake turned, to her surprised, but didn't interrupt. "My species has a lab," she continued, "hidden from the public. They grow children with special energy, faster minds, stronger reflexes, powers for war." She swallowed hard. "I was one of those. But something went wrong. I didn't obey. I felt too much. They said I was unstable." "So, they dumped you?" Jake asked quietly. She nodded. "They brought me to the market and just walked away. Like I was broken stock." Jake clenched his fist. "You're not broken." Linari looked up. "You say that, but I feel like I don't belong anywhere. I'm not a real person, just a mistake in a tank." Jake shook his head. "You bleed. You cry. You laugh. You fix things. You protect. How is that not real?" She blinked fast. "No one ever said that before." He leaned back against the wall, looking up at the cracked ceiling. "You know, I once believed people were only what they were made to be. And now I believe they're who they choose to be." Linari was quiet for a while, then asked, "Do you ever wish you had walked past me?" He turned to her. "Never." "Even after all this trouble?" "Especially after all this trouble." She smiled for the first time that day. Just a little. Later, she pulled out a small chip from her pocket. "I kept this from the lab," she said. They didn't notice. Jake examined it. "What is it?" "Data. Names. More like me." He looked at her. "Others?" She nodded. "Maybe still locked. Maybe waiting to be erased." Jake stared at the chip. "We could destroy it," he said. "End the chase." "Or?" she asked. "Or we could use it to expose them." Linari held the chip close. "I don't know if I'm ready for that." "You don't have to be," Jake said. "You just have to know you're not alone." She leaned against his side. "I think you're helping me more than anyone ever has." He smiled. "Funny. You're helping me too." Outside, the wind blew through broken vents, but inside something else was growing. Not fear, not power, but trust. The last stand. The calm didn't last. The moment Jake powered up a signal jammer to scan for trackers, it pinged. Incoming ships. Bounty class, elite arrival time, 12 minutes. He turned to Linari. "They found us." She stood slowly, eyes glowing faintly. "Then we run again." Jake shook his head. No, they'll never stop. This time, we stand. They moved quickly. Inside the broken storage bay, Jake placed shock traps near the entrance and set up shield plates using scrap. Linari watched silently. You've done this before, she said. Too many times, he replied. But never with someone worth protecting. She stepped closer. You're not afraid? Terrified, he said. But I'd rather be scared next to you than safe without you. The first ship landed hard. Dust exploded into the air. 3 bounty hunters stepped out, fully armored, scanning for movement. One of them pointed to the building. Life signs inside. Preparing breach. Inside, Linari stood behind Jake. If I use my power, she whispered, they'll call me a weapon. If you don't, he said, they'll call you missing. She looked at him. What do you call me? He turned. Mine. The door blew open. The first hunter rushed in, stepping right onto Jake's trap. Boom. The pulse shock dropped him, but the others moved fast. Jake fired once, hitting one in the leg. The last bounty hunter aimed straight for him. Don't, Linari shouted. Too late. The blast hit Jake in the side. He dropped to the ground. Linari ran to him. His breathing was rough. I'm fine, stay down. But she stood, eyes glowing now, bright, wild, full of something ancient. The last hunter raised his weapon again. Linari didn't flinch. She raised her hand. The air cracked. A wave of pure light pulsed out. Slow, controlled, silent. It hit the hunter like gravity, pinning him to the wall without harm, but without escape. His weapon fell. His eyes widened. What are you? She stepped forward. Not what you were told. Jake watched from the floor. He wasn't afraid. He was proud. Outside, the ship's alarm went off. An AI voice spoke. Subject not dangerous. Subject stable. Behavior not hostile. Inside the hunter's helmet, a message appeared. Order override. Stand down. The hunter looked at Linari. You saved me. You tried to hurt him, she said. But you didn't kill me. She nodded. Because someone taught me mercy. He dropped to one knee and removed his helmet. Then maybe, you're not the weapon they feared. Linari turned back to Jake, kneeling beside him. His face was pale, but his smile was real. You didn't run, he whispered. Neither did you, she said. You didn't destroy him. You wouldn't have, she replied. So I didn't. Outside, the ships lifted back into the sky. The hunters left without another word. And the girl once hunted was now something else. Not alone anymore. Days passed. The hunters never came back. The sky above the old storage bay stayed clear. The alarms went silent. The fear began to fade. Jake lay on a small cot, his wound wrapped, his breathing stronger. Linari sat beside him, holding a warm cloth and a data reader. Your fever's gone, she said softly. Thanks to you. He replied with a small smile. She looked at him carefully. You're sure you still want me around? He laughed, then winced. I just nearly got shot for you. You think I'm giving up now? Outside, the wind moved gently through the metal beams. Linari stood at the edge of the shelter, watching the open sky. Her hands no longer trembled. Her glow was steady now, quiet and warm, not wild or afraid. She could feel it inside her. Balance. Jake joined her later that evening. He limped slightly, but didn't complain. He looked at her and said, They'll talk about you now. Not as a bounty. Not as a weapon, but as someone who made a choice. Do you think that matters? She asked. It does to me, he said, and maybe to others like you. She looked down at the small data chip she still carried. There are others, she whispered, in labs, in cold places, waiting for someone to believe they're more than just power. Jake nodded. Then we find them. Later, Linari pulled out a piece of metal scrap and carved a small shape. She handed it to Jake. He turned it in his hand. It was a tiny star, carefully shaped. "What's this?" he asked. "Something I made," she said. "To remind you that you didn't just fix machines. You fixed me." Weeks passed. Jake built a safer home for them near the edge of a quiet valley. The old storage bay became a workshop. Lenari helped every day, fixing parts, organizing tools, learning how to build things instead of break them. Sometimes traders passed by. When they asked who the strange glowing girl was, Jake always replied, "My crew." Lenari always smiled, because she knew what he really meant. "My family." One day, a young alien traveler arrived, lost, scared, carrying the same glow Lenari once couldn't control. The girl didn't speak, but Lenari knelt down and said, "You're not alone. I know what that feels like." The traveler looked at her, then hugged her tight, and Jake, watching from the door, knew. They had started something bigger than survival. Final scene. The stars above were quiet that night. Jake sat on the roof looking up. Lenari sat beside him, still watching the sky. She asked. "Always," he said. "But now, it doesn't feel so empty." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "Thank you for choosing me," she whispered. He smiled. "Thank you for letting me." She had been left alone and forgotten, until one human gave her a place, a voice, and something no one else ever had, a reason to stay.